Hey guys, we're gonna do a little modding today. A little bit of a tutorial. I had a viewer that requested something specific as to how to do row crop wheels on a tractor. So um, I have a donor and I have a tractor I want to put them on. Now I've always been a big fan of the Big Bud. Grew up in central South Dakota and neighbor of ours that lives south of us by 8-9 miles, um, Bud Beestrom. They had about 30,000 acres of wheatland that they farmed, and they used Big Buds to air seed, to no-till drill the winter wheat. And they had not just one tractor, not just one Big Bud 747. They had four of them, and I was just always impressed by the size and just sheer awe of watching those things fire up and go around the field. And it was just amazing as a young kid watching that. So let's pull up the Big Bud. I've already gone into my mod folder. I've unzipped it, and I've already had this open once. And I wanted to show you Big Bud. This version gets dirty when you start to spin around your tractor and move. This is outdoor camera. This is what the game sees.
I can do this.
I can do this.
Huh. Well, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what that was all about. Must have been a commercial on a page of my internet there. But anyway, I actually have one already open that I've been doing. Okay, when you open up a tractor who has the dirt script, it's going to show up dirty. And to not see that dirt, there's probably another way to do it. But first thing, like if you know, look at the scene graph, there is no light source. So first thing you can do is come in here and go create light. Okay, puts a little light on things, and you see everything's dirty. So click on one. Okay, that's the entire front of the tractor. You notice a specular texture. This is where your tractor gets the dirt from. So if you hit X, it eliminates it. And then here, well, that picked the whole thing. We just want to pick, okay, like this. First of all, we can pull it up and look at it. And it's eDocuments Desktop, because that's where it's at. Big Bud 15 Textures Specular. Okay. So if we get rid of it, we can go back in and reassign it. It's not that big a deal. But we just, for now, we just want to pick these individual objects and dump the specular, so we don't have to sit and look at that dirty body. But if it's in an entire transform group, it's not. The specular texture can only be assigned to one material, one texture at a time. So that's why it's broken down into individual objects. It's like, okay, this fertilizer tank is a cube map for some reason. Cube map is just black, and the specular is the same. It's the same specular texture for everybody. Okay, so there you go. So it's like an aluminum tank, huh? That's, and how about that one? Yep, same thing. But the diffuse is probably different. Yeah, diffuse is black. So if you get rid of the specular, and it's just a black lid. Okay. And just for my own curiosity, what is? Oh, okay, it's just gray with black. Huh. And this big bumper out in front. Okay. And wheel wheels, and if we do one wheel, it'll apply it to all of them. See, it's the same specular. And then we got, for some reason, it's the door is a separate object. So I tried zooming in on just the door, and it brings up everything. So we wanna, it would be underneath the big bud. And of course, that is a lot of different stuff. How about just the cab? Body, tanks, ring, bud 2, and the articulated tractors are broken up into two parts. So you have the front half and the back half. Okay, and then they work together. That's why you have the wheels are separated. Wheel left, wheel right, wheel left, and then down here you have wheel left, wheel right. Okay? But in all the years that I watched those big buds go around the field, I never saw them with wheels like this. These big flotation tires. I never saw that. So okay, this is our project tractor. This is where the wheels are going to go. Okay? So we can just minimize it. And this one is basically just two files of the same thing. So let's just get rid of it and don't save it. Okay. Case Magnum. Row crop 7250. I was going to use this because, why not? You can always scale up your wheels. Get down to it. Okay. What I like about these, okay, is there's let me move them apart. Is that axle? I like that. And we don't have any light. Let me go ahead and give some light. I just think these are a very well modeled wheel. Okay? So what we want to do, first thing when editing a mod, because that's what this is it's an edit. Now if we went right in here to the Case Magnum, this Case Magnum 7250 row crop has selectable duals. So if we go here in here and look at the tractor, it does not have duals because they are not turned on. You turn them on in the game as an add-on. So create light. Let's spin around and look. I just think that is a good looking wheel. We don't need to save it. Just so happens that this 7250 has the wheels in a separate i3D in here, which we have open. So if we go in here and we go wheel and shift and wheel, select them both, and we want to go out here onto the desktop and we want to create a folder, and we'll just say new folder, and we'll put RC wheels. Okay? Now, for this to be pulling textures to give you color, this object is assigned a texture. And so when we click on it, it gives us a texture. And this is it, the diffuse for that wheel. has a specular for the dirt. Right there. And it has a cube map. A rough cube map. So if we highlight both of them, because we want to move them both, and we want to go File, Export Selection with Files, because it's going to pull. Oh, sorry. This is another project I got going on. It's a hydrobed feeder for the flatbed truck with the hydrobed for the bale movers. So we made a new folder on the desktop, right? So we go to desktop and then RC Wheels, and we put it in here, and we could call it RC Wheels. Okay. So really, we are done with this. We'll close, and no, we don't need to save it. So let's go into RC Wheels and see what it pulled in for us. Oh boy. There's the RC Wheels. There's a shared folder for probably dirt normal. Okay, makes sense. You got the diffuses. You got a back wheel diffuse, back wheel specular, cube map, the shapes file for the wheels, tire diffuse, tire specular, vehicle shaper. Okay. So that is what it pulled out of that i3D file. It pulled all of that information and put it in a folder for us. So let's go into the Big Bud, and for right now, let's take this RC Wheels and just drop it in here. Okay? Now we have a place for that i3D to pull information for the appropriate textures. And it's inside the file of that tractor. So let's go back into Big Bud, which is here, and let's import. Okay, slide him over, File, Import. I'm going to go to RC Wheels, RC Wheels i3D. There they are. Now let's zoom out and get a hold of. Okay, that's that one. And it don't look like we need to scale them up because evidently Big Bud has kind of big, so we need to go 0.8, 0.8, 0.8. We want to get kind of close to where we want to be. Well, that's not going to do it. So 0.7, 0.7, 0.7. That's pretty close. And now we'll move it in. We'll go up. And then we'll go over. Okay. Now let's go ahead and invisible Big Bud's current wheels. So let's go in here to wheel right. And we go visibility. Out of the equation, right? See, those wheels look better to me. But by no means am I done. First, we gotta go in here and let's get this other set out of here. That would be this one. And let's go over and up about right there. And it was 0.7. 0.7, 0.7, right? I believe it was. Right down. And we're just eyeballing it for now. What you do? Let's go into this other one and let's make it invisible. Okay. So now we can see it's. Reality, there's about the axle, but even Big Bud's wheels are not, they are not centered on their axle. So it doesn't really help you. So what you have to do is you have wheel right and wheel left. You see those translate X, these right here. Translate X, translate Y, translate Z. That tells this point in the 3D scene where to be from. So it's 1.2 whatever units from 0. It's 1.1 unit from 0, 1.8 units from 0 on the z-axis. Okay? The y-axis is the up and down. The z is forward and back. X is left to right. When your machine is configured that way on the X, Y, and Z. Now, if it was built in a different configuration, then you just have to play it by ear. Excuse me. Most mods are built X being left to right, Z being forward to back, Y being up and down. Okay? Now when you go into Blender, that's different. X is left to right, Z is up and down, Y is forward and back. And when you come into Giants Editor, you have to make that transition of it's different. Now, hopefully, at this point, you know how to navigate in Giants Editor. It's Alt, middle mouse, hold middle mouse, and you can go side to side. Alt, left mouse, rotates. Right mouse zooms in and out. Okay. Scroll wheel scrolls in and out. Scroll wheel by itself. Scrolling in, scrolling out, scroll in. Okay. But it also Alt, right mouse, move forward, move back. Alright? So hopefully you got that. So anyway, what I was explaining was, okay, we got 1.2, 1.1, and 1.8. So if we go down here to our wheel, which is invisible, we had 1.1 and 1.8, and we had 1.2. So let's make our wheel visible again. Okay. Not bad, but it's going to rub those. It's going to rub. So yeah, we'll have to. We'll just make an adjustment because we're changing these great big flotation tires for row crop tires. Okay, so 0.7's not going to cut it. But we are not. Let me put it this way: we are not under the tractor. We are sitting there as its own separate item. So first, before we go any further, let's take this wheel. We go wheel, edit, cut. And we go up to the top. And we want to put it under Big Bud. And we go edit, paste. Okay. Now we want to, what you have to do is you have to move it up. Move up. Move up. Whoops. I just messed up. I hit expand all. But don't worry. Move up. I was watching what I was doing, and everything is fine. But you have to move this wheel up to the location of the wheel you are replacing. Move up. Move up. Move up. Move up. Oh my goodness. We're getting closer, though. Move up. We are getting closer. Move up. Move up. Move up. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. Okay. Now we're up here. Now the wheel left is the one on the right hand side, and the wheel right was the one over here. Okay, well, makes sense. And so this is going to replace the wheel right. 0.7 is not going to get it done. It will rub. So we want to try, let's just try 0.6 and 0.6. Okay, a little bit smaller. Seems a little small to me, so let's go half the distance. Let's try 0.65 and 0.65. It's a little better. It's a little better. Now, I didn't really care for how close it was to the tractor. So that's the thing about having these axles, is we can move it out a little bit. And I don't know is if these, whoops, you have an undo button up here. So if you ever shift something like that, you can undo it. I don't think these axles are a separate object. That's the wheel that we are replacing. We can take a look and see what we can find. Oh, the drive shaft is there. I wonder if it turns. So what we're looking for is this. Aha. It is, yeah, the whole thing. The whole thing. And being we were that zoomed in on it, I mean, if this was a separate object, it should have picked up on it. But it didn't. It's just, so it's one whole object. So moving that axle down is not an option in Giants Editor. You would have to take it into Blender, separate it. But you know, I kind of like, I don't know, maybe we can go higher. So let's go, whoop, wrong tire. Let's go to the wheel and let's raise it to about right there. 'Cause I think that's where that axle was. It is. So it's close. Let's take it up a little further. Well, there's about center. Oh, and it can come forward a little bit. And that is where making your wheel invisible helps you. So here we go. Now let's look at it this way. Okay. Let's square ourselves to the axle the best we can. Lower it just a little. Whoops. Lower it just a little bit. You just want to click off of it. Sometimes you got to scroll out. So we're in the middle of it. So we got to reselect our wheel. And you see when I move that mouse in there, how that blue turns yellow? That means if I click on it, it'll select it. So that's pretty much the center of the axle. So let's scroll out here. And let's make the wheel visible. Okay. And let's, that's not bad. I mean, that's not bad. I think that looks more realistic than these, myself. Okay? And, you know, maybe being so far out is not really, I mean, that is kind of wide. You wouldn't think it would be any wider than the saddle tanks. So let's go and select the wheel again. And there's the red arrow turned yellow. So let's move him in. And that, huh? So that is 1.4. Let's just say 1.4. And we'll go with that, 1.4. That looks pretty good. Okay. I think that looks pretty decent. I think it looks better than this. I really do. Those just look abnormal to me. Okay, so that is one wheel. So what we can do now is take the other side, which was down here. We want to minimize it. We're going to go like this, and we hit. And that's just so that it's all together. And we want to go edit, cut, and we're putting it on the front object of the tractor, which is this. Edit, paste. Drops it in at the bottom of the transform group for the front of the tractor. So from here we just go move up, move up, move up, and we just do that until we're at the top where we need to be. So we'll just do that, do that, do that. Now once you come up with position of where you want your wheels, it gets easier determining where your other wheels need to be in relation to the tractor, because you will have other wheels to compare it to. Okay, so wheel right is on that side, and that was the one in the, so we want it on top. So we'll go move up, and so we can determine what is what. We can just go over here to the shape, or I'm sorry, to the transform, and we can add an R, and we can hit enter. It changes it. And we'll just go heel, and we'll go wheel, shift L, wheel left. Okay, so we have wheel right, wheel left. Okay, so then we know that this one's replacing this one, and this one's replacing this one. Alright, so let's go ahead and select all those, make those invisible, and let's compare. Okay, wheel right, 1.4, 1.3, 1.8. You know, I don't really like using the like 8. I don't like going beyond 1.8, for example, or I don't like going beyond 1.3. I don't like going beyond the first tenth of a position. So let's go to this one, and it's going to be, the other one was minus, or no, 1.4, so this one's going to be minus 1.4. So if we go 1.4, it pulled it in. Now your up and down is your y-axis. So the y-axis is going to be the same. It'll be 1.3. And as far as the forward and back, 1.8, that's going to be the same because they're on the same axle. So we go 1.8. There we go. Let's take a look at it. Not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad. Oh, the radius was, we ended up doing 0.65. So, yes, 0.7x 0.65. Because I didn't want to go any thinner. So let's go to this one and make this 0.65. Make this 0.65. There we go. And basically we just have to repeat everything we just did to the back. Um, when we get done putting them on the back, before you zip it and try to put it in your game, what you have to do is you have to go down here to the wheel, and let's pull up this. Let's take a look at it. And you see where that file destination says? It says eDocuments Desktop Big Bud. RC Wheels. Actually, that is correct, because we're in the Big Bud folder, under RC Wheels folder, back W diffuse. So it is correct. Pardon me, I spoke out of turn. It is something you always want to check. If you're pulling a new object into a mod, you want to check and make sure that this is in the folder of your mod. And so when we put the RC Wheels folder inside a Big Bud and then opened it, I think that helped us because it pulled that information out of that folder. So that is probably what assisted us in that. So yeah, like this for example, this is the hood. We can pull this folder up. If you wanted to change the color of the hood, there's the folder you need to do it with. eDocuments Desktop, Big Bud 15, Textures, Motor has. So there's the Big Bud stuff on the side. There's the 16V747 across the sides of the hood. We've got a Big Bud logo. This, I think, is on the steering wheel, I believe. Must be a headlight. But you know, another thing that I remember was that this section of the hood was black. So there is that Big Bud symbol right here. So what about this? And that's the thing, is it's not very well defined as far as, well, what portion of this is the top. Oh, we don't know. We would just have to guess. At this moment, we would just maybe like come down here and just make that black and see what turned black. And, that's kind of really the only true way to find out is to take this into Blender and do a UV image and find out where it is. Which can be done. It totally can. It can be done, not a big deal. But we're here putting wheels on. So basically that you go through those steps and you do the same thing for the back. You put those tires on. When you get done, you just want to check, make sure everything's pulling textures from the appropriate places. Once you've verified that, you take your mods folder, you zip it back up, put it in the game, you should be good to go. One thing you want to be wary of is that your XML, so the Big Bud XML is going to have tire radiuses, and we can pull that up right now and look at it. So we pull up the Big Bud XML. Do you want to download it? Not right now. So here you have wheels, wheel rotate, radius 0.98. Okay. If the wheel that we replaced it with is the same of 0.98, then we are good to go. We don't have to do anything with it. And as far as the nodes being, so these are all the front wheels. So you have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. These should all be the same. So if we go up here to this, we have Oh, we'll have to change it because we have 0, 0, slash 0, and then we have 0, 0 slash 1. So we need this number. Yeah, we need this number and this number. So we need 0, 0 and 0, 0, 1. So this here would change. So 0, 0 is correct. It's the 0, 0, 1 would have to be. So it would look like this. 0, like that. So we've effectively changed the XML right there. And then you just hit save. And then it knows that is, it recognizes that object as a wheel. Okay? And then the information that goes along with it. So hopefully that helps. I'm gonna probably do a continuation of this video, but for now this is enough to get you started as far as exporting objects like wheels plus their files into a folder, which then can be imported, copy pasted into the mod, and then imported into that 3D model. And then once it's positioned where you want it, once it's basically, when we take it and cut and paste it into like the front half of Big Bud, we are effectively installing it into that portion of the tractor. It becomes part of that scene graph, part of that transform group. So that is when, if it was just down here hanging out, and we zipped up the folder and that's it. If we didn't do the cut and paste it into that, when we bought the tractor would have no tires, and the tires would just be laying on the ground. They would not be part of the tractor. This way, this basically assigns it a parent. So that, whoops, this is the parent of all this stuff down here, all the way down to this. So all of this is our children to this. Okay? So, yeah, hit like if you like the video, hit subscribe if you want to watch more, because we are going to do a part 2 of this video where we'll finish up, we'll zip it, and we'll put it in game, and we'll test it out. So yeah, guys, please comment. I'm gonna do this modding tutorial because, like I said, a viewer requested it. If you have a particular mod question, please leave it in the comments below, and we can custom build you a mod tutorial. Okay guys, keep the rubber side down and shiny side up. Hope you keep on farming, and hey, hopefully you start modding, and hopefully these videos aid you in getting your feet wet into modding. And the worst comes worst, you know what, just don't save it. If you make a mistake, just don't hit save. Delete what you have and start over. What do you know? Sometimes experience is the best learner. So I sure appreciate you guys subscribing and watching. So until next time, adios.